is this an inscribed or is this a central angle? So first for number 1, is that inscribed or central? That is a central angle. So if the angle measure is 90, what is the arc measure going to be? 90. So the first one there is 90 degrees. Okay, number 2. Okay, number 2 is an inscribed. Okay, so I'm given the arc measure, so I'm looking for the angle measure. So I'm going to multiply or divide? Divide. So you're going to do 90 divided by 2, so x would be 45. That's an equal sign. I've got it zoomed in so much I can barely get my pencil up underneath there, but it is what it is.
90 divided by 2.
It's 45. Okay, then look at your next one. Look at number 3. Okay, is that a central or an inscribed angle? Inscribed. Okay, this time they gave me the angle measure. So am I going to multiply or divide? Multiply. So I'm going to do 103 times 2, which means y is going to be what? 206. Okay, those are the easy. They're pretty straightforward how you do those. Okay, now we're going to move to a little bit of application. So look at number 4. Okay, and number 4, they tell me that this is 130 degrees. First of all, is this a central or an inscribed angle? This is a central, which means that my angle equals my arc. So if this is 130 degrees, that means that my arc from here to here, because remember it goes from leg to leg, is going to be 130 degrees. But that's not what they asked me for. They asked me for what is this right here. So there's where the application comes in. How do I find out this length right here? 360 minus 130. If this is 130, this part would be whatever 360 minus 130 is. You're going to do 360 minus 130, which is going to give you 230. Okay, number 5. In number 5, is this a central or an inscribed angle? Central, because my vertex is right there at the center. So this is a central angle. Okay, now we're going to use a little bit of things that we've already learned this year. Okay, this is 133. What does that mean that the measure of this is going to be? 133, because they're opposite angles. So the question is, how do I find this angle here? How am I going to find that angle there? We're going to do a relationship between these two angles. What's the relationship between these two angles that are side by side adjacent? These will add to be 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus 133 to find that other angle measure. This is going to give me 47. Which means that this one here is also going to be 47. So what is going to be the measure of y? 47. What is going to be the measure of z? 133. What is going to be the measure of x? 47. Questions on that one?
So how does y and x be like 180? How could it like?
Y and x aren't. They're vertical angles, so they equal each other. But z and x add to 180. 133 and 147 add to 180. And then this side of the circle will do the same thing. 147 and 133 will add to 180. Okay, now look at number 6. Okay, in number 6, you have what type of angle here? This is an inscribed angle. Now, the thing is with both of these, this is my endpoint and this is my endpoint on both of them. So what does that tell me about these two angles? They're going to be the same because they intersect the same arc. If it intersects the same arc, they're going to have equal measures. So if this is 110, what is going to be my angle measure? Am I going to multiply or divide? Divide. So you do 110 divided by 2, which means each of your angle measures are going to be 55. Everybody got that one? This would be more like what we would see on our test. So, I mean, like this paper here, because it has kind of everything. So your arc here was 110. It's an inscribed angle, so you take your angle is equal to half your arc. So you do half of 110 to find your angle measure. Since they both intersect the same arc, they're both going to be equal to each other. 55.
Oh,
okay, number 7. Okay, is this a inscribed or a central angle? Inscribed. Okay, so this 109 here, does that go to angle X or angle Y? The 109 degrees, which arc corresponds with that, X or Y? Yes, you're right. Here's my side. So it's going to be this one right here. It's the one between these. Okay, so it would be this would correspond with the X. So if I want to find X, do I multiply or divide? Multiply. Okay, so here's what we're going to always do when we check it. Okay, so let's say I said, oh, I divide. We're going to put in our calculator. We're going to do 109 divided by 2, and I'm going to get 54. And we're going to say that's not right because arcs are always bigger than the angle measure. So we're going to go back and we're going to fix it. We're going to do 109 times 2, and that's going to tell me that my arc measure here is 218. Yeah, I mean, that's the rule, but that's what you need to keep in your head every time is that my arc should always be bigger than my angle. So if I divided it and it's smaller, then I should go, oh, I probably did that wrong and go back and multiply it. Because it's all, the arc measure is always going to be bigger than the angle measure. Okay, then you're going to come over here. How am I going to find Y? Right, we're going to do 360 minus 218. And that's going to be 142. Okay, number 8. That's an easy one. What's going to be the measure of Y here? How do I find Y? Y is my arc. So Ethan, what am I going to do? Divide or multiply? Okay, so 34 divided by 2 is 17. So your arc measure is 17. Is that right? Yes, my arc has to be bigger. So if you get a number smaller than your angle measure, you did it wrong. Okay, if you're trying to find your arc, you do 2 times your angle. So when you're trying to find your arc, you're going to multiply. 34 times 2 is going to give you 68. Number 9, inscribed or central angle? Central. So what is true of arcs and angles that are central? What is true about the arc and the angle measure relationship? They're the same. So what would be Y here? 151. Okay, last little section here. So what I would suggest on this is that you try to find out what these other angle measures are, since this is a central angle, and then your arcs are going to correspond with your angles. So if that's 71 and that's 60, how do I find that one? Yeah, so you're going to do 180 minus 71 minus 60. Gives me 49 for this one. Then now I know that's 49, that's 71. So see, that makes a straight line right there. So you can do it that way, or you can notice that this angle and this angle are what type of angles? They're vertical. They're vertical angles, which means they're equal. So there's two ways you could find that. You could notice that this and this are vertical angles, so that means they're equal, or you can do again, 49 plus 71, subtract that from 180 is still going to give you 60. So you could do it either way to find out what that angle measure is. And then to find this last one here, what would I do? 180 minus 60, because it makes a straight line here. So 180 minus 60 makes that 120. Yes, or you can do 49 plus 71 equals 120. That would work too, because they're vertical angles to each other. So X here would be 49. Y here would be 60. And Z would be 120. $50. Number 11. Okay, and this one here is an inscribed angle. This is my angle. So this is the arc that goes with it right here. So how do I find my arc if I'm given my angle? Your arc, do I multiply or divide? Multiply. So I do 180 times 2, which is going to give me 180 times 2, which gives me 160. Because my arc should always be bigger than my angle. So that gives me 160. And then finally, number 12 here. Okay, in number 12 here, you have that this is 54. So that goes from here to here, okay, is my arc to that 54-degree angle. So what would be my arc length? Do I multiply or divide? Multiply. So I'm going to do 54 times 2, which gives me 108. Then what's true of these two angles? They're going to be the same because they intersect the same arc. So my y here is also going to be 54. Okay. Flip over to the next page. Okay, this I want you to try for homework, but there's not one on your review page that's like this. I want to go over one like this. If you will, look with me at number, let's do 6. Look at number 6 with me. Yeah. They're due Tuesday. They're due Tuesday, but if you want me to check over them, they're going to need to be turned in Monday. We have school.
No, you said Tuesday, so I thought we didn't go to school.
Oh, no, I'm just giving you time. Okay, so on this one, I have, this is my angle right here. So it goes from here to here. Remember what we talked about yesterday? Okay, this is my angle measure. And so my arc goes from here to here. So what is the total for my arc for this angle? You do 70 plus 108, so it's 178. So my total arc is 178. So how do I find my angle measure? Okay, so it's an inscribed angle. Let's go back. This is an inscribed angle. This is its arc. So how do I find the angle? Do I multiply or divide? You divide because I'm going to my angle. So I do 178 divided by 2. Divide by 2, which gives me 89. So my angle measure here is 89. Those are probably the hardest because you've got 2 arcs sometimes when it's got the quadrilateral. Divided by 2 because it's an inscribed angle. Hood.
So whenever you try to find an angle, you always divide it. And when you try to find your arc, you multiply.
Yeah. So whatever you're looking for, so here you're looking for an angle, you follow this rule. You divide by 2. Whenever you're looking for an arc, you multiply by 2. When you're looking for an arc, you multiply by 2. When you're looking for an angle, you divide by 2.
I just think about it like the ins when it's on the inside, when it asks for the inside, is smaller than the outside.
So for homework, you're going to